Okay, aloha kakahiaka. We are streaming live. Aloha ka iolani odam. Nice to see some of you coming on board. Like to say aloha to Kamoli'i Estrada. Aloha kakahiaka, brother.
Aloha. We'll be beginning very shortly. We're just gonna give some time for people to hop on. We'll begin right at 10.
Okay. See people coming on. Nice. Aloha kakahiaka. Ohana Facebook.
Okay, now it's 10 o'clock. Let's begin. Aloha mai kako, ʻōwauʻo kamuali'i, no Hawaii ia. And I am one of the youth members of Papahana Aloha Aina Hawaii.
Aloha kakahiaka o wau no o Lina Ala Medeiros no Hono'uli Uli Maiau. O kaimaki ku'u wahi hanai o wau ke kakau mo'olelo. I am the secretary for Papahana Aloha Aina. Mahalo for being with us this morning.
Hi, mahalo. Before we start, I want to start off with the opening pule kako, mai ke po'o, mai ka piko o ke po'o, I ka poli o ka wāwai a la'a ma na kihi eha o ke kino. Aloha mai kako. Can you put into chat where you guys are tuning in from? And hi. And I hope you guys had a really good laho mai ka'i. For those of you who celebrated, hope you guys had some ono food. Maybe some of you made some lavalu, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we're really happy for all you to be here today to the final installment of our Ola ʻāina Key series. This webinar really helped us to expand and deepen our knowledge and understanding of the importance of cultural practices that is relevant to the theme of the series, which is ki or lāʻī. Before we move any further, we're grateful to have the Office of Hawaiian Affairs as a sponsor for this month-long event. We're also grateful to have the support of Kanaeokana for helping us to set up this entire Zoom webinar so we could share all the ike that all of our presenters have to all of you. Last but not least, we would like to mahalo for all of you to choosing to spend your time for spending your Saturday mornings with us to learn more about the plant lāʻī.
Okay. Hi, mahalo kamoli'i. You know, just for those of you that are coming back, welcome back. For those of you that are new to us, mahalo for joining us on this series. And I just want to give you a little bit of background about Papahana Aloha Aina. We are a nonprofit that came out of one of our Papa Alaka'i's platform. In pageantry, she has been really embarking in embracing Aloha Aina, to care for the land, the ocean, and its people. And from that was born Papahana Aloha Aina. And so our goal is to develop leadership of all of the haumana and the opio you see, presenting, researching. And so we follow three, our mission is really e pa'ako Hawaii, Ike Aloha Aina. And it's really about three areas we focus on in practice and development with each other and for each other. One is scholarship through education. What could we constantly continue to learn and deepen in our ike ku'una and practices that can expose others to build this kind of pilina with the Aina? And then we look at stewardship. Well, there's many opportunities across our state. We network, we collaborate, and we have opportunities to also create opportunities to bring people back to the Aina in ways that they might not have options or opportunities to before. And then finally, leadership. Alakaina is important. And so the youth that you see presenting, researching, Their kuleana has been to create educational resources, as well as they have different projects throughout the Aina, leading programs that they'll have opportunities to grow and develop their leadership. So it's been really exciting these last 4 weeks, and it's so appropriate. We had started on November 6th, which was actually the 20th celebration of the exploitation of Aina in war. And this was something recognized by the United Nations. And we said, yep, great month to do it. That's why we started on November 6th. And then it was followed that day by the importance of ki. So if you were with us, Kumo Noilani and Pono Iokepo Guerrero started and launched this 4-week series really about the importance of it, its significance of ki, and then how to propagate it and the different ways to do it. That week was followed by Ka'iolani Odom and cooking traditions with it, right? So like Mahalo Kamoli for mentioning, right? A lot of us learned to make lavalu and use laupele, and she had introduced other plants and other methods of ki and how vital that is for us. And then last week, we were very fortunate to have Kumunili Haini share her traditions with Napoleo Likoleho and how they utilize ki both in adornments as well as making pa'u kahiko and pa'u awana, and to hear her stories about all of that. So that was really exciting. And so today we're ending with healing traditions with Kumu Kaliko, and how appropriate, right? As we're ending, we're moving into Lono Ikamakahiki, right? The season of abundance and honoring the fruit of our Aina and our care for it. This time of wellness, really focusing on our Mauliola, to be followed by Laku'oko'a tomorrow. So how exciting. And you'll hear more about that as we get towards the end of today's presentation. But again, mahalo everyone for being here. And we don't want to keep you from our traditional practitioner here with us. So I'm going to take it back to Kamoli'i, and he'll give you a fabulous introduction of our practitioner who's spending their time today with us. So mahalo and enjoy.
Hi, mahalo for your mana'o. Without further ado, our final presenter of the Oloi Kaina series is Kumu Kaliko Chang. Kaliko Chang has been practicing Lomi Lomi for more than 30 years. As a young child, he was inspired by the healing work of his Uncle Bob, who taught him Lomi Lomi. As a youngster, he prayed to be a vessel to help other people, and this led him to be taught by respectful master traditional Hawaiian healers. Some of these in Kumu include Kalua Kaiahua, Margaret Machado, Freddie Tira, Malia Craver, Lavan Ohai, Kaipo Kanaeokana, and Kamaki Kanahele. Since 2012, Kaliko has been the po'o of Moana Nui, a group of Oahu Lomi Lomi practitioners who carry on Uncle Freddie's Lomia'e style known as Kakeki Runga. All of his teachings taught that healing comes from Keokua. Today, he will share some of the mo'olelo from these kupuna. So without further ado, everybody, welcome Kumu Kaliko Chang.
Aloha ka koe, ohana, kamako le kino, okumako kamali e, ame maula e. Ame tanani, ame te aloha, mahalo ne mātou e. Aloha e, aloha ka koe. Aloha e. Ano ai ka ko, o Kaliko ko inoa. I'm so happy to be here with you today to share a little bit about Hawaiian healing. Of course, before any presentation, Antipolia Craver shared you need to pull it before and to see what would be the sharing of that day or that event. I remember she went to the United Nations in 2000, and before she went to present there, she pule, and what came to her to present was aloha, aloha maoloa, that unconditional love. And so she presented, and it was mai ka'i. So today, I did my pule to find out what should I be sharing today. And so Papahana Aloha Aina, their vision of Aloha Aina and Namea Hawaii and sharing for the next generation, the youth. And I believe it's a sophomore in high school to a sophomore in college. It's their youth and young adults in their kuleana and to carry on. And so what came was to share about the kupuna, their ike, their knowledge, what they have shared with us, that we pass it on to the next generation. And so that is what I will be sharing, a little bit about things that our kupuna have shared. And I come from Moana Nui, and so today I represent Moana Nui, and Moana Nui is a lomi kui that we got together in 2012, and it was lomi practitioners from Oahu. They either studied with Auntie Margaret Machado, Uncle Kalua, Auntie Malia, and we got together and learned lomia'e from Uncle Freddie. So his lomia'e is known as kakekerunga, and it is the person would lie on the ground on a mat, a lauhala mat, with another mat that you would step on the body to realign the body, to restore the body. And so our group, Moana Nui, have been together since 2012, and we continue to practice and share what they have shared with us. And so I'll be sharing a little bit about Uncle Freddie. And I first want to start off with Auntie Malia Craver. And she had a saying that, "Ho'okahi wale no Keokua." There is one creator in this world, but with many different names. And so that one creator, also known as Keokua or Io, that creator shared the spiritual values all around the world. And that spiritual values, those spiritual values became mankind values, and then cultural values all around the world. And so I remember going to the Native American Museum in DC and looking at an exhibit of the Native Americans, and it showed all the same values. So later I called Auntie Malia and told her and shared about that. And she goes, "Ai, o kahi wale no Keokua." There was one creator in this world with many different names, but they share the spiritual values. And so, of course, the spiritual values of ho'ihi, respect, aloha, malama, to care for others, to care for Aina. So the malama, ohana is important, the family, ohana. And so many of the values you'll find all around the world. And that is part of the healing. She said that when you have a strong foundation, and that it includes the values, that will help to sustain, to maintain our health and well-being. And not only for us, but for our Aina, because if we malama Aina, then it's going to take care of us. So the importance of the values, the spiritual values. And so that is something that Auntie Malia shared. Auntie Malia, she was raised with her grandparents. And she tells a story that her grandmother came from Ho'okena to see her mother. And this is an anakuli. And her grandmother said, "That child that you are carrying will be mine to take care of." She would hanai that child. Her mother said, "Oh, I'm not hapai." Later on, she found out she was hapai. And so grandma came to deliver her. She was laulapa'au ho'oponopono, palikeki. So she delivered her, brought her back to Ho'okena, and raised her. So her grandparents were born in the mid like 1850s or so. Auntie Malia was born in 1927. And so she was able to gain that knowledge from her grandparents. And that's how you continue to transmit that knowledge. And so for Papahana Aloha Aina, they have that same vision of sharing that knowledge and having a lāʻī, the youth, to be that next generation to carry on that kuleana. So Auntie Malia Craver, she was raised with her grandparents and later her aunt, but was able to observe and witness and see the healing and live in the way that they live more out Mauka, where the grandfather grew vegetables, fruits, the lāʻī, dry land, of course, kalo and wala, and then he would go down to the shores and trade with the fishermen, and so that's how they sustained their life and their well-being. And of course, after her grandparents passed away, then she shared that she would buy the kalo from the stores. So it was kind of lost, but now it's coming back. The Aloha Aina and working and living off the land. And so there's always that balance, of course. There's good in all things. So, and Auntie Malia witnessed and observed through her teaching of her grandmother doing ho'oponopono, laulapa'au, and healing. And so Auntie Malia shared that the Hawaiian way of learning is ho'olohe ka pepeau, nana ka maka, and pa'a ka waha. So observe with the eyes, listen with the ears, and silence the mouth so that you would observe things. I remember somebody visited Auntie Malia. Auntie Malia worked at the Queen Liliuokalani Children's Center, and somebody visited her and I guess had an agenda. And so later on, she said, oh, this person didn't observe and hear what I was saying. That person needs to pa'akawaha. And so that is a style, a traditional style of learning. And of course, after you learn that knowledge, you would practice, and you would mimic, and you would practice. And so that is one way that knowledge was passed down to Auntie Malia. I would like to share a little bit about Kalua Kaiahua. Kalua Kaiahua, Lomi practitioner, Lomi master, who is from Maui, but he came down to Oahu to teach Lomi, and he learned from his aunt, Auntie Annie Uasugi, who shared about healing, and she said that you need to go to Keokua, and you are the vessel that Keokua will show you the healing. Auntie Annie worked on pregnant women to help to conceive if they were breached. And so he learned that style of Lomi. But also with Lomi, you would learn la'olapa'au and ho'oponopono, and of course that spiritual connection. So Kalua Kaiahua shared a pule, so that anytime you would work on somebody, anytime you would start something, you would have the intention of healing or whatever you're going to focus on. But he shared to be thankful, so give thanks, right? The second one is to mihi, to ask for forgiveness. Asking for forgiveness is important because when you forgive, then you let go of things, right? And so the forgiveness is important. And then also the third one is to protect yourself from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. And that's important. And then also to ask for o'ulu, to be inspired how to be, and asked to be guided in what, if you're doing lomi, how to help this person with the sprained ankle or headache. And so his pule that he shared would be part of the healing process. And so going back to Auntie Malia Craver, she said in healing, healing starts with that spiritual connection, that connection with Keokua, because we are the vessels of Keokua, and we'll be able to listen and have that connection to help that person, whoever's in front of you. I think we also shared a little bit about lokahi, and all the master healers that I've learned from or saw, they believe in the lokahi. So the lokahi is balance, in harmony, but it's how do you do that? The connection spiritually to Keokua, wherever you call your Keokua, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, with one another, and all things. And when you try to make things in balance in lokahi, doing the pono thing, the right thing, that is important. So I'm going to share a little bit about aha and the breathing, and how you can help to connect with Keokua, and how to balance and build your mana. So if everybody can just sit maybe with your feet on the ground, we're going to do 3 breaths. Okay, so the first breath, when you breathe from your na'au, from your center, you're gonna kind of visualize that you're breathing in, and it's going up to Keokua. So you're gonna breathe in through your nose and hold for 5 or more seconds. Feel that mana, that connection, and then you're gonna breathe out through your mouth, and then bring it back to your center, your na'au. And then the second breath, when you breathe in, you're going to breathe in, and from your na'au, your center, you're going to go down your legs and connect to the core of the earth. So you breathe in through your nose and connect to the core of the earth. And then you would hold, feel that mana, that connection, feel grounded, and then bring it back up to your legs, to your na'au. And then the third one, we're going to breathe in through our nose, and we're going to connect with one another and all things here. Hold for 5 seconds, and then breathe out and bring it back into your center, to your na'au. Okay, so we're going to just try that. Okay. So if you can breathe in through your nose, I'm gonna say hanu. Breathe in through your nose. 1, 2, 3. Connect above. 4, 5, and hold, and out through your mouth. Ha. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, my kai. Okay, now the second breath, we're going to connect below to the core of the earth. So if you can, makakau, hanu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, and out through your mouth. Ha, and bring it back up from the core of the earth to your na'au. Okay, now the third breath, let's connect to one another and all things here, all the good things here. Ready, and hanu. Breathe in through your nose. And hold. And out. 2, 3, and connect back to your na'au. Mai kai. Yeah, so when I teach, I share that to do the ha, and connect, or however you're gonna connect. And it's just to connect spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and with one another. And so that you are able to be mai ka'i and in lokahi before you work on anyone. If I am upset or I'm thinking about something else, when I'm working on somebody, or if you're working on somebody doing lomi, then that is going to transmit to that person. Yeah. And so you always want to be in lokahi, always to strive for that. Sometimes it's hard, right? But we try our best to do that, right? Okay. So Auntie Margaret, I'm going to share a little bit about Auntie Margaret Machado. Auntie Margaret from KA, and she taught many people lomi lomi. You would go down to her beach house with Uncle Dan and Auntie Margaret and the daughter Narita. And so you would stay there for a whole month, and you would learn lomi lomi. And so you would get lomi every day. But she said that before the sun goes down, ho'oponopono. You can get massage the whole day and you feel relaxed. But if you're holding grudge, if you're thinking too much, the worry, if you're upset at somebody, if you're upset at yourself, then you're gonna go sleep, or you can try go sleep, maybe not get enough sleep because it's on your mind, yeah, or it's heavy on your heart. Then it's going to affect your body. So all of your vessels will constrict, your muscles will constrict. If you got lomi, your neck, and you feel better, it's all loose. When you go back to sleep, or when you have that thought, that stress is going to tighten up everything, and then wake up, not enough sleep, and it's going to throw your whole your day off next. So she stressed the importance of ho'oponopono, to mihi, to forgive others. And also, sometimes the hardest thing is to forgive ourselves, forgiving ourselves. But that is important. Sometimes hard, but with the guidance and support of others, that you're able to do that, and it's a process. But the importance of mihi is important. I want to share a little bit about Auntie Alapai Kahuana. She shared lāʻau with us. She learned from husband, who was a lāʻau master, and also Papa Henry Hawaii. And so there was a doctor that wanted to learn more about lāʻau. So I took that doctor to her house out in Waianae. And puka, talk story, and they had a conversation. We lomied her, and then the doctoral student asked about lāʻau, and Auntie Alapai turned to her and said, "O kahi wale no I ka lāʻau e mihi." The first lāʻau is to forgive. The first lāʻau is to forgive. And of course, what I explained with Auntie Margaret, kukalua, the forgiveness is important in healing. Because if we don't forgive, we're going to hold that. And sometimes people, they hold on things, things that happened when they were young in their childhood, maybe not treated right, bullied, maybe there was abuse, neglect, hurtful words with family members or friends, and they hold on to that. And when they're in their adult, when something that happens again, it gets triggered again. So that brings up the thought of that, brings up the emotions, and with, of course, the thought of that experience, that anger, that resentment, that frustration. And when we have that, we don't really feel well, right? And our bodies just kind of, it tightens up. So we hold things. And then we will get sore neck, sore back, sore legs, headache, right? And so the importance of that forgiveness is the key, right? So we're talking today about healing, which is that spiritual connection, right? And trying to work to be in lokahi. One of the keys is the mihi. And there's, of course, the process of ho'oponopono that most of the master healers, they use ho'oponopono. Many families have used ho'oponopono. And so that is important to mihi. Sometimes you could do mihi, but and avoid ho'oponopono, family process. And that's a whole nother presentation with ho'oponopono. But that the forgiveness is important. So always remember, anti alapai ho kahibali no kala'au, I kala'au e mihi. And so I am going to share a little bit about the lāʻī. And I am going to ask, let's see, Leina Ala to come and join me. She's going to come right now. Okay. Aloha, Leina Ala. Yes, come join me.
Okay.
Let's see. You can come over here. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. So with the lāʻī, with la'au, of course, first identifying is important. And we had the opportunity to puka with Auntie Pat and Maka Bacon. And this is what, like 2006 or so. She came to the house, and then she shared about growing up. And we always remember that when she shared the story when she was young, that tutupukui, when they would walk, she would point out all the different plants and the la'au. And as a child, she would be able to identify and look and see. So sometimes right now we open the puke and we read, but we cannot smell it, we cannot really touch it. All the senses, where it grows. There's different side of the islands where it grows, so it might be more green or more the warrior juice will be more potent. And so just going to different places and being connected with the la'au. So today the la'au is the lāʻī. And so here we have the lāʻī. Oops. Yeah. And so this one is, there's many different lāʻī. And this one is the kahuna lāʻī. And maybe in 2000 something, 6 or 7, Pono and Noe blessed us with this. And so we want to mahalo Noe and Pono for gifting this to us. And so this lāʻī, I'm just going to demonstrate of how to use the lāʻī. And of course, yeah. So when you take it off, you don't want to cut it. Yeah, you don't want to cut it, but you grab the stem, yeah, from here, and then you would pull down. Yeah, you would pull down. Of course, you would do your protocol. There's many different protocols of gathering. Sometimes you pick from the right or left, depending. But also, the kupuna would share that if you just pull it to Keokua, you give thanks. Of course, ask for forgiveness for sacrificing that la'au, of course, the protection, and also the purpose of it. So if it's for a headache, then you're going to ask for the guidance and inspiration to help with that person's ailment. And so that is the lāʻī. And the kahuna one. I am going to share a little bit about how to help headaches. So, but before that, we're going to kind of demonstrate of deboning, right? So if you have the lāʻī, this is the hollow, yeah, the shiny side, and then the back side. From the back side, you're going to go from the tip. It's going to be pliable, yeah. It'll be pliable. And then when it gets more firm here, you're gonna peel, you're gonna break it, and then you're gonna strip it. So what happens is you will take off the mid part. If that doesn't work, then you can get a niho oki or a scissors, and then you, where it's kind of firm, you make a little slice right here, and then, and not too deep, because if you make it too deep, it's gonna go right through. It's gonna go through. Then you would break it. So you debone it. Okay. And this is what you would use for headaches. Yeah. So I'm gonna have Mikey, Lena Allah to sit down. Control. So you would want to put it all of the shiny side on top. Yeah. So this leaf is kind of big, so I'm gonna make it nice for her, and I'm gonna flip it like that. So at least the is there. I'm gonna put it on the forehead. Okay. And then tie it on the back. Yeah. So there's many different ways of tying the lāʻī, which you can tie. Okay. And then you're gonna put this on and just leave it on for headaches. Okay. Also for fever, you would get a leaf, you soak it in water. Yeah. And then also you would debone it, and also and then dry it after that, after you put it in water. And then you would apply over the forehead, the chest, the different places. But always remember the shiny side to the body. Okay. So if, of course, we did our pule, you ask for, you give thanks, ask for forgiveness, ask to protect from the crown of our head to the tips of our toes, and also ask for guidance in whatever you're going to be doing. And so this purpose is for Mikey, and she's acting like she has a headache, so we will treat that. Okay, I'll take this off for now. And this is I'm just going to show a simple way that you can help with headaches. Yeah, and then of course I'm going to ask for permission to work on that person. And especially the po'o, you ask permission. Yeah. And so Mikey said, hi, mahalo. And so the headaches, you're going to start by kind of feeling the head, right? Sometimes you'll feel that it's swollen, or the veins, you can feel it with your fingertips. Yeah. And that's what you want to open up. Yeah. So there's different ways of the Kalua teaches, Uncle Freddie. I'm just going to share a basic lomi for headaches. Yeah. Okay. So of course you're going to open the sinuses. Yeah. You open up the sinuses, and then also that's the eye. And the forehead, and then the sides. Yeah. So this is where your fingertips can feel the head. If it's swollen, you're gonna open it up. Okay, top. And then of course the back. And then the base. You okay, Mike? Lena Allah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. And the pressure's not hard at all.
You can, depending on the person, you're gonna observe and see how much. Yeah, and then it's like your your fingers or your eyes, so you're feeling, yeah. Okay. And you circle it around. So there's many different ways to help headaches, right? Sometimes, of course, if you have a headache, you might be dehydrated. So, of course, fine, right? Drink water, yeah. Hydrate yourself, yeah. Also, if they have a headache, maybe they didn't get enough sleep. And so, to restore your body, you would work on the person, and Uncle Freddie would share, you work on the person, he has a special mat that you lie down on, and you just let the person sleep right after. Sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes an hour, sometimes 5 hours. You want to share your experience?
Yes, so I was very blessed. My oldest son, Kumu Kaliko Chang, is a Haumana and a member of Wananui. And after Thanksgiving, I had been up from 2 a.m. the night before. So yesterday he practiced Mamia'e, and he helped me. And he said, whatever, nothing else to do today, drink water and go sleep. So we finished about 9:30. I woke up at 3:15 yesterday. It was fabulous. My legs and my knees and my hips, and I've had head surgery. So I'm very trying to seek out natural ways to keep pono and keep balance. And he always scolds me and reminds me to do the exercises, to do my stretches. So there's kuleana in this practice. So I appreciate that. So mahalo, kaliko, mahalo mai kai. Ayun ba rin?
So that's for headaches, and then of course, sleep. Make sure they eat. Why is important. Okay. And then you can put the lāʻī over the forehead. Okay. So we'll keep that here for now, and then I'm going to just share one more thing. If like or maybe your wrist is, yep. Okay, maybe you can yeah. Okay. So if we'll lower me the arm if their wrist is sore, right? Right. I'm not going to demonstrate the whole thing, but the thing is that you help with the wrist, the pain from the above and below, and then you can use the lāʻī to put la'au. And so I have an ointment that from Kalua, and you would put that on. I would work the whole neck and arm. But then you would put the ointment on the wrist. You can add different la'au, yeah, but for today, we'll be simple and use the lāʻī. So we use the lāʻī, okay. And then I would tie a knot over here and split it, shiny side to the skin. And then I will wrap. And then the stem is long enough so that you can tie. Yeah. Just like Ka'yu when she was making laulau, yeah? Okay. And then you just leave that on. And so that's some simple things that you can use with lāʻī, headaches, fever, and then any kind of body aches. Yeah, so your sprained ankle, you would work on the sprain, open it up, and then put the lāʻī, and then they'll keep that on, or knee, or in any parts of the body. And then you can add the different lāʻau. Okay. All right. So mahalo for. You see, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and I think that we went over our time. So, let me see. Yeah. So just to review, our kupuna shared about the connection that healing starts with the connection with Keokua, or the spiritual connection, and that is important. And you can do that through prayer, you can do that through ha. And so that connection is important, and always trying to strive to do things pono, right? When you do the right thing will happen. And then when you do that, always striving to be in lokahi. So balanced, in one, in harmony and connection, connecting to Keokua, wherever you call your Keokua, balance your thoughts, your mind, your emotions, your body, your kino. Make sure you sleep, make sure you drink the right things, exercise, and just malama your kino. And also with the relationships with one another, with Keokua, the relationships, the relationship to Aina. So that is all for now. And I want to mahalo Papahana Aloha Aina for putting this on and their vision of training the next generation so that they take on the kuleana to carry that on for many more generations. So mahalo.
Aloha, Kumu Kaliko. There's a question in the chat, something small, that was asked,
Okay.
which was, are there any healing resources on other islands?
Yes, so the protocol is you ask your family first, yeah. Find out from your family, because all families, all ethnic backgrounds, they have their healing traditions in their family. Sometimes they don't know because they don't ask the kupuna, so, or the auntie or the older generation, but we ask in your family. If not, then there are different resources. Apolo Lokahi, they have the list of all the healers here in Hawaii, or in your community. You can go and ask. And if not, then you just pule. You pule, that's the important thing, you pule, and you ask for what you need, but maybe not what you want, but what you need, and then the connection, and then that answer will come.
Mahalo.
Okay. All right, mahalo, lahuiho, malama pono.
Mahalo ana kala kaliko. Aloha mai kako o Emilani Brown ko inoa. No kaimuki mai au. Hele au I ke kula o Mid-Pacific Institute, and I am on the board of the Papahana o Pio. And I'll hand it off to Lilia.
Again, mahalo nui ana kala kaliko for your ike and your mana'o. Nui ka mana'o. Aloha mai kako o wau o Lilia I o Kepa Guerrero. No ko olau poko o Ahumaya. Aloha everyone, my name is Lilia I o Kepa Guerrero, and I am from Ko'olau Poko o Ahu. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay, so today me and Emilani will be talking a bit about lāʻī and healing traditions using lāʻī. First, I wanted to start off with my pilina, my relationship to Hawaiian or medicinal uses. I didn't first learn, but I learned medicinal uses or learning to use plants as medicinal through my kupuna that have been passed down traditions from them through my family. And I also learned from my uncles, Anakala Hiapo, Anakala Kaupili, and Anakala Kaleo. My mother learned from Tutu Malia Craver. And I was also taught by Halo Napole Olikolehua under Kumulena Alahaini, now under Kumuniuli'i Haini. I learned from the Ehuola program, which is under Auntie Kaiulani Oda. And yesterday, I actually just learned a bit about the ʻAʻe, from Anake Kaiulani Oda. And I was also really fortunate enough to enter a course, a la'aulapa'au course, which my kumu was Kumu Emma Makepa Foley. who was taught by Kumu Ohai, and Kumu Ohai was also a teacher to Kumu Kaliko Chang, who you just heard present a few minutes ago. So the youth board have created a book with 5 resources of how to use ki or tea leaf as in a medicinal way. Mama wahiki ke kauika lolo ikapahu kole kole. I believe that the link will be in the chat box. Inside of this book, we have the Ovela Vela, which could help for fever, as you heard Anakala talk about earlier, which is this one right here. Another one, which is for the Eha Okekino, which is for the soreness on the body, which is this picture. And then the last one is one way to pale kekino, to protect your body. It's this one. And then the last 2 is another pale kekino, again, to protect your body, which here's a picture. And then the last one is to ho'omai kai ana, for blessing, which would be this picture. So I just wanted to talk about 3 different olelo, or the first 2 are olelo ea, which is makahana kaike, we learn best by doing, and e malama I kia oia e kana awao, take care of the teachings appropriately and the knowledge will grow. And last and most importantly is aloha. Whenever you do and share, make sure you do it with aloha. We encourage you to not only use the resources that we have provided you, and not just from today, but also from the other workshops that we have done if you have attended them, but to not only use them and look through them or read them, but to also share it out with others so that we could help and grow our knowledge through the community and everywhere else. Mahalo. Next, and Melanie would be talking a bit about what she did. Emma?
Mahalo, Lilia. Again, my name is Emma Lunny, and today I made for you a project from a website called Scratch. And it is an educational website that allows everyone to learn how to code and make unique things such as music, games, and educational projects, just like the one I'm going to be sharing. My inspiration from this Scratch comes from my passion for coding and engineering. I thought it was a good idea to connect the modern day technology to our Aloha ʻāina program. And since I can't share the link for the Scratch, I will be showing you a slides, and then I'll show you a preview of what I made in the Scratch. And so this is the slides, how to work the Scratch program that I made. And if you were to open the Scratch that I made, you would be seeing a girl holding a glass of water in a glass in the kahavai. And to trigger this Scratch, which is the coding device, you would need the space bar, which I used. And if you press the space bar, it'll turn something like this, which would trigger the first portion of the project. And that is when it would change the background to the forest. And it will also talk about something like this, getting the water from the kahavai. And then to trigger the second portion, you'll need the up arrow. When you press the up arrow, it will look like this, and it will bring up the key plant. And when you water it, it'll grow something like this. And so now I'll be sharing with you what I made. Okay, so if you were to go on Scratch, you would usually see something like this. And here's a little preview of my little Scratch project. So that's the, let's grab the water for the key. And you got the glass of water and it grows. And so this is one of the many ways you can use Scratch. And it is also a tool that you can use, and it is free and easy to access. And it can teach people to code easily. You could also make duplicates of what we are talking about. For example, Lilia's ebook. And for those of you that like coding, I invite you to try Scratch. And again, my name is Amalani, and I had a fun time making this Scratch project. And thank you all for coming to this Aloha Aina webinar program.
Hi, mahalo nui, Lilia. Mahalo nui a oi and Melanie. It's so neat, right? Like in this time, kamoli'i. I know you folks are in college and in school, and so amazing to really find ways to integrate and to create opportunities of bringing like culture and practice to an online platform. So mahalo nui.
Hi, mahalo nui, Kumu Kaliko, for sharing your healing traditions and knowledge with us. Hearing the mo'olelo is always super interesting to me, and Auntie Mikey is so lucky. Looks so relaxed right now. We also like to mahalo our presenters today, Lilia and Emalani. Mahalo for sharing what your ike and what you've created, such as that Scratch. And we also like to take time to mahalo our sponsors, Office of Hawaiian Affairs and Kanaeokana. And of course, throughout this whole webinar series, our presenters, Kumu Kaliko Chang today, sharing his ike on healing practices. Kumu Noelani and Kumu Pono for on the first day for sharing their ike on the cultural significance and propagation of the lāʻī. Auntie Kaiulani Odom for sharing her ike of cooking traditions, and Kumu Nili Haini on sharing the hula traditions of the lāʻī. We also like to mahalo Kumu Noelani today for helping with the tech support behind the scenes, and mahalo for all of you in the audience for spending your Saturday mornings with all of us to learn about the ike that us and our presenters have to offer.
For sure, Kamoli'i. And just so you know, to share out some more information, if you want to learn more about us, our Papa'alaka'i youth have wonderful opportunities to be ambassadors of Aloha next year as Lilia goes into her national pageant competition. It'll be the first ever Hawaii-based pageant. And so we were invited and allowed to offer workshops to share the culture of what we do here in Hawaii and the importance of Aina. It'll give us an opportunity to connect with other OPO across the continent. And then we're also having opportunities to present a lot of their projects in Papahana that they're developing and designing at the WIPSI conference next year in Australia. So you can see more online at Papahana Aloha Aina or Pa'a Hawaii 808.com. We're also available on Facebook, on our, we have a TikTok, we have our digital natives working on TikTok, and we also have an opportunity on, Instagram. But also, just so you know, we mahalo you and look forward to your feedback. So there will be a survey link in our chat. We appreciate you folks. Your feedback will help us reiterate and continue to increase and be better at our research and presentations. And after December 5th, we'll be doing some drawings, which will allow some of you to be recipients of hard copies of some of the educational materials our Papa'alaka'i OPO has created. And so with that, mahalo. I'm going to take it back to Kamoli to prepare us to close us out. And really mahalo again, everyone, for being here with us. Aloha.
Mahalo, Anake. So tomorrow, for those of you may or may not know, is Lāʻī, which is I guess can be interpreted as Hawaii's Independence Day. And it kind of ties into today because today is the last webinar and we're talking about healing traditions. And this revitalization and this sharing of ike and bringing up our traditions of healing and hula and all these things. It's a way of healing for our lahui, of taking the time to bring up this ike kupuna and sharing it out to you guys, and taking that time just to learn about these practices. And so like ways you can celebrate this is like maybe prepare like another small dinner, and like with like the lavalu that you guys learned, the types of wrapping and cooking. Maybe take the time to but and take the time to talk to your kupuna, maybe to or your ohana, or people who you would like to talk about their ike, what they have to offer, because you'll never know what ike they hold inside unless you ask. Maybe they did lomi, maybe they were a hula practitioner, maybe they did la'au lapa'au, or was an expert lavaita. Take the time to learn about your kupuna and to revitalize that ike kupuna that may be hidden for so long, and revitalize it during la'kuokoa. Even share ike, such as share what you guys learned throughout this webinar series to people, because this ike that was shared in this is not meant to be kept inside. Like educate people, like, hey, I learned about this type of lei, I learned about Ho'oponopono, I learned about these interesting facts about the lāʻī, or even tell them about the webinar, because webinar, our websites, like our YouTube and our Facebook, because there's recordings of these webinars that they can watch for themselves if you want to help spread the word of word in ike. And also along with La'kukoa, it's the beginning of makahiki season, and you could also use this ike, for example, how Kumu Kaliko was talking about Ho'oponopono, and maybe you could take the time to start off this new season with a clean slate and Ho'oponopono with your ohana, and just start off clean and going into the new year nice and aha, and everything is all pono. So yeah, take the time to just use all this ike that you learned from this webinar series, and just do what you think is best with the ike that you learn. So with that, we would like to do a closing pule kako. Na au makua na kupuna, mahalo nui no ke wā e hui ai, e malama mau, e kiaʻi mau, e aloha mau. Mahalo no kako, i la maikai, haoli la lono i ka makahiki, ai, a hui ho.
Ahui ho no kako, malama, aloha.